Greeting fellow hunters, and first of all, I just want to apologize for not making any videos yesterday. I was spending time with my mom and so on and so forth, and I just, and then by the time I was about to do the videos, it was getting pretty late at night, so I figured I'll just hold off on doing it till tomorrow. So today I will be posting 6 videos instead of 3, but I'm going to do the first 3 now, then I'll do the other 3 after lunch, and so on and so forth. So there you go. But yeah, let's continue our look at Supernatural Season 3 for the episode Fresh Blood. Bella's walking to her car when she notices someone behind her in the car window. It's Gordon. Although she doesn't recognize him by first glance, when he reveals his identity, she recalls hearing of him being in jail. As she reaches in her car for a gun, she finds that Gordon has already snagged it. Putting a gun to her face, he tells her that he knows she was recently in Massachusetts with the Winchesters and demands to know where they are. Being the mercenary she is, Bella won't even begin to squeal until a deal's been made. Gordon, hesitating to shoot her, offers up $3,000 for the information. Bella sneers and says she won't even get a bet for $3,000. However, she notices on his belt buckle a priceless mojo bag over a century old. She agrees to call an even trade for the mojo bag. Gordon agrees, and Bella immediately calls up Dean to find out where they are. Sam and Dean are hunting down a vampire running loose in a warehouse. One guy is seen on the floor bleeding to death with a huge bite in the side of his neck. The boys continue to chase after the vampire. Dean takes a machete and slices a huge opening in his skin. Blood starts oozing down his arm. He then goes out to the vampire. "Smell that? Come and get it!" At that moment, a female vampire appears in the distance and charges after Dean. Dean is quick to respond, injecting her with a dose of dead man's blood, seeming to enjoy the moment, knocking her unconscious on the floor as Sam walks into the room. The vampire wakes up to find herself tied to a chair as the boys are standing over her. They demand to know where her vampire nest is, and she tells them she doesn't know what they're talking about. She tells them her name is Lucy and that she was at this bar named Spider, and there was a guy who put a few drops of some kind of red drug in her drink. She says she gets so hungry that the feeling won't wear off. She's not coming down from the drug. She said the sunshine hurts her skin, and she can hear other people's blood pumping. The boys tell her that what she drank was vampire's blood and that she's become a vampire, but she doesn't believe them. Sam and Dean talk in the other room for a second and agree that they don't have a choice but to kill her. Dean takes his machete back into Lucy and decapitates her. Gordon and Kubrick speak with the guy who survived Lucy's attack at the warehouse. He doesn't provide much information about her except that she attacked him and then bit him. But he does tell them that two guys who fit the description were there who fit the description, the Winchester brothers. The boys are walking up Spider's bar, where all 3 victims were last reported being seen before the attack. As they're walking out, they see a blonde across the street being taken around the back corner of an alley with another guy. Sam and Dean follow them to find out the guy who's about to give her a dose of vampire's blood. The boys manage to throw in a few punches before she ingests any blood. The girl runs off and the boys follow after the vampire, end up trapped on the side of the alley by Gordon and Kubrick with their guns aimed. As soon as the boys catch a glimpse of them, they run for their lives while Gordon and Kubrick are firing bullet after bullet at them. Dean tells Sam to run for it while he heads them off. Dean runs across the alley with Kubrick following after him. Gordon, still tempted to go after Sam, gets sidetracked when he falls victim to the vampire and is knocked unconscious. Dean arrives back at the hotel, and the two of them are trying to figure out not only how Gordon got out of jail, but how he knew where they were. Then tells on Dean that the other day when Bella called, it was to thank him for saving her ass. He gives Bella a call, and she tells him that Gordon paid her to tell him where they were, that he had a gun to her head, and that she had a gun to her head. Dean, in his deepest, mysterious voice, tells her that if they make it out of this alive, the first thing they're going to do is kill her, and hangs up. Gordon wakes up to find himself inside the vampire nest with 2 other blonde girls tied up. We find out that the vampire, Dixon, has been injecting people with his blood to extend the vampire family so that his kind won't become extinct. He's going to kill Gordon for the new vampires to feed on, but Gordon unleashes a tide of abuse about his kind, and he changes his mind. Dixon decides to turn Gordon into a vampire instead, and holds his cut arm to Gordon as the latter dies defenseless on a table. The boys are in the room sharpening their blades and agree that Gordon's not getting away this time, because he won't stop until they're dead or he's dead. They're left with no other choice. Dean receives another call from Bella telling him that in the goodness of her heart at the fact that she'd rather he didn't kill her. She used a talking board to contact the other side to find out Gordon's exact location. She tells them he's in a 2-story warehouse near the riverfront with a neon sign outside. Also, the Spears had a message to pass on. Leave town, run like hell, and don't go after Gordon. Gordon wakes up to find himself tied up like the other girls. He manages to break the chains loose from the ceiling and escapes. He walks down the alley on the other side of the warehouse and sees a man changing a tire on his car. As he stares at the guy, he gets that hungry vampire feeling in his system. Gordon tries to fight it. We can hear the guy's blood pumping louder and louder as his teeth turn to fangs. The guy gets inside the car to find Gordon in the back seat and is attacked. His blood spews all over the foggy windows. Ugh. The boys arrive at the warehouse to find Dixon standing alone in the room with the 2 blonde girls hanging dead from the ceiling, still tied up. They realize that Dixon turned Gordon into a vampire. He realizes that he's made Gordon more dangerous to them than he's ever been in the past. Gordon, meanwhile, heads over to Kubrick's trailer and tells him that he's been turned into a monster and that Kubrick's going to kill him, but not until he kills Sam Winchester. Gordon tells Kubrick it's the one good thing that can come out of this nightmare. Kubrick attempts to cut off his head from behind. Gordon, however, quickly rips through Kubrick with his bare hand and leaves him to die of his wound. Back at the motel, Dean tells Sam he's going after Gordon alone. Sam refuses to let him go off by himself because he'll get himself killed, but as usual, Dean doesn't care. He's the guy who has nothing left to lose since he's dead already. Sam is fight-hat and tells Dean to drop the act. He can see right through it and knows that he's scared because his years are running out. He is still going to hell and he's freaked. He knows this because Dean's his big brother who he's been looking up to since he was 4, and Sam knows this is exactly how Dean acts when he's terrified. He really doesn't blame Dean, but he wishes Dean would just drop the act and be his big brother again. Dean finally agrees to wait out the night with Sam in the motel or until Gordon shows up. After a couple hours of waiting, Dean's phone rings and Gordon tells him that he's got a girl tied up and he'll kill her if they're not at the warehouse in 20 minutes. The boys arrive at the warehouse to find the girl tied up on the floor. They untie her and attempt to escape. However, they are sidetracked when a garage door slams down between them and Sam gets trapped inside. At that moment, the lights black out and Sam knows Gordon's in the room. Sam takes out his blade, ready to finish him. Dean desperately tries to break through the door, but fails, and is distracted when he realizes that the girl Gordon had tied up has been turned into a vampire and attacks him. Dean is quick to respond and shoots her with a Colt. Inside, Sam is trying to defend himself in the pitch darkness, while Gordon is eyeballing Sam with his red vampire eyes and verbally taunting him. He tells Sam that he's got 2 final good deeds, killing him and then killing himself. At that moment, Gordon charges after Sam, breaking through the wall into the next room. Dean comes to the rescue, attempting to find another bullet from the Colt, but Gordon attacks him and attempts to turn him. Sam grabs a strand of razor wire from the table and strangles Gordon until he's decapitated. The boys walk out of the warehouse as we see Gordon's body propped up on his knees, leaning his large tube and his head lying on the ground. It's daylight, and the boys are chilling out up the side of a back road having a few beers. Dean's fixing up the Impala and decides to give Sam an auto shop lesson, explaining him the different parts of the car and insists that he fix the rattling noise the car is making. Sam is shocked that Dean will let him go near the hood of the car because he barely lets him drive it. Dean tells him that he's going to need to know these things down the line, and besides, it's his job to show his little brother the ropes. Dean hands Sam the wrench, and as he's working on the car, Dean nods with confidence that everything's going to be okay. Aww. So now let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. In Mommy Dearest, Sam and Dean meet Lenore again and try to pacify her by briefly describing how they killed Walker. And now let's take a look at some trivia about this episode. Mercedes McNabb is better known for Rose Harmony in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spin-off series, Angel, in which she also played a vampire. In Bram Stoker's Dracula, Lucy Westenra was an unknowing victim of the vampire Dracula. Likewise, the Lucy in this episode is an unknowing victim of Dixon. When the fight is over with Gordon, Dean stands next to a sign that says 183 days, possibly a reference how long he has left on his deal. And now finally, let's take a look at some errors. About 18 minutes in, Dean is sharpening a machete at an angle that is barely acute, an angle that would destroy the edge. When Dean cuts his arm with the machete to learn the vampire, the blood from the cut is visible for a split second before he actually cuts himself. When Dean draws Kubrick and Gordon away, a spent casing can be heard falling to the ground just as Kubrick stops firing. He's using a revolver, so the casing should have stayed inside the cylinder until he reloaded. When Dean is working on his car, he asks Sam for a box wrench but doesn't say what size he needs. To avoid being tracked, Sam removes the SIM cards from his and Dean's phones. When he opens the back of his phone, you can see the car simply lying against the flat plastic panel of the phone chassis. When he opens Dean's wallet, the car simply falls out onto the table. It's very obvious that neither is plugged into a circuit board, making them non-functional. So overall, I think this episode is pretty interesting, and yeah, I do feel kind of bad for Gordon for what happened to him, but then again, he was kind of a jerk to Sam and Dean, so there's that. But yeah. So overall, I give Fresh Blood 4 Impalas out of 5. Anyway, tune in to bed as we take a look at the next episode, A Very Supernatural Christmas. So, until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.